The Kim Jacobs Show. Listen, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. And we are truly blessed today because we have someone that cares about students and their safety, their selves, their awareness, their health, their mental status. We have Terri Brinston with us today. How are you, Terri?
I am wonderful. So grateful to be here with you.
I am so grateful. It's like you're just like a ray of sunshine over there. I don't know if it's some special aura around you. Whatever is happening is permeating through your pores. Do you know that?
Praise God. I'll take it.
I'm serious.
I'll take it. Thank you so much.
You know how people say there's something about that person, and sometimes when they're saying that, it's in a derogatory way, right? But really, it's actually in a great way pertaining to you. It's like there's just something about her.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Where are you located?
I'm in Michigan, and so it's a little cold here.
Where are you again?
In Michigan.
Oh yeah.
It's a little chilly. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I just was laughing at the same time. I was like, when you said, I knew you said somewhere cold because you were like, it's a little cold here.
Yeah.
Michigan. Okay. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte. Okay. All right. Well, you get it's okay. What's the weather today like?
Yeah, I was going to say today it's like about in the 50s. I'm sure it'll warm up, but yesterday, a few days, it's been in like the 70s, 80s. So I was like, whoa,
70s or 80s. Okay. Well, the 50s that's time to put my shorts on here.
Okay. Are you one of those people? Oh, okay. Everybody coming in the studio audience, you can participate in this question. Are you one of the people that time the weather slightly changes, you throw your shorts and flip flops on?
No, absolutely not. Not in Michigan, because, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. It's going to change. Our weathers get cold and then it's warm is 50, 35, so no, I keep my coat on until I have a good stream of nice weather.
Okay. It's kind of set that the weather's going to be great. All right. Well, I actually love my flip flops and just being chill in different regards, but because I'll throw my flip flops on in the winter, but then it's like that's ridiculous. That's going too far.
Not in Michigan. Well,
not in Michigan. No. In Pennsylvania, I used to live in Pennsylvania, and they had like 10-foot snow drifts. I was like, this is crazy. In Syracuse, New York, there's some stuff that would be happening that I was like, we have to get south. I have to get into some warmer weather.
Right.
But anyway, so listen, everybody, as you're grabbing your virtual seats, let us know where you're visiting in from as well. Today, we're going to be talking with Terri Brinston. I'm going to come back after this commercial break and give a very formal introduction of who she is and what we're going to be talking about in detail. We'll be right back.
When someone has lost a loved one, they want to know what exactly happened. They want to know, is the other person going to be held responsible? And they want closure. At Hunter and Everett, we help clients that have lost a loved one move on, and to do that with dignity and respect that they deserve.
All right, everyone, we're back and we are happy to have Terri Brinston with us today. Terri has 25 years of experience teaching in the public school. She's also a registered nurse and a certified teacher with a master's in education, administration, community leadership. She provides a student-centered approach to schools, and My School Nurse, which is you're going to hear a lot about throughout today's discussion, developed a 4-part strategic approach to successful school, health, that includes a needs assessment, district care plan, formation, and coordinated school health team, and an evaluation. So, we're going to break all of those things down on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show, and we welcome you, Terri Brinston. How are you today?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so looking forward to this interview. I follow you and I've been on your show before.
I know, I
Yeah, I
remember.
think we were talking about my book last time I was on here. So excited to be invited back. Thank you.
Well, I'm actually glad that you brought that up because I definitely want to take a moment to acknowledge your book and let people know how they can officially get a copy of it. Your journey surviving COVID-19 is what we talked about
Yes.
previously. And so, how can people get a copy of your book?
Well, my book is on Amazon. It's also an audio book. You can just go straight to Amazon and it's available. I've been getting some really good reviews and just very blessed by this opportunity to be able to share my story.
That is awesome. And just briefly touching on that, how did you survive COVID-19? Because there are over 1 million people that did not. And
Yeah,
so I really
I think, that journey of going through COVID, I lost my memory as I talked to you before, because I was in the hospital for a month and on the ventilator as well. And so the healing process was very slow. And because I lost my memory, one of the things my doctor and my psychologist recommended I do is start to journal about things in my life. And so the book is actually really not about COVID. It's just about the fact that was given the opportunity to really look at my life through fresh lenses and to really see how God had orchestrated every aspect of my life and to recognize that my purpose
Mm.
was being walked out through the doors opening and the doors closing through my life. And my experience through COVID made me realize that I need to get busy with the purpose that the Lord had given me. And so basically that's what the book is talking about. And honestly, I look back at the experience I had with COVID, very grateful that the Lord spared me, but He spared me for a reason. He has an assignment for me to do, and so that's one of the messages that the book is talking about. So
And you, I think, got kicked right into gear because
yeah,
whether I know I haven't had COVID, but many people in my household have. And
right,
I think God even allowed that to be the case because somebody would have to be the person to take care of the other people
yeah,
that had COVID, right? So I
and
was like, how's this possible? I'm
yeah,
not getting it, but
right.
God knows all things. And so he's probably like, girl, you better be grateful I'm not letting you get it because you need to help take care of these other folk. And
Absolutely. It was my husband in my house. He never got COVID. And he actually had to, it's an amazing story. And if you get the book, you'll learn more about it. But
gotta get the book, y'all. Get this book. Get the book because she can't tell you everything. Okay, you have to get the book on Amazon.
absolutely. But he was able to be home and take care of me because, back then when people were released from the hospital, because it was when COVID first started, they had to go to, like, I was supposed to go to like a step down unit, like a physical therapy type facility, a nursing home, but they wouldn't take me. And because I, was positive COVID. And so he had to take care of me. And so that was just a blessing to have my husband. So you're right. You were the one. So God bless you as well.
That's interesting. Interesting. So listen, I want to make sure you all know throughout the broadcast too how you can stay connected with Terri. And you'll be able to reach her right at hello@terribrinston.com. And Terri, for the audio listeners, because we are also on iHeartRadio and Spotify and all of these audio downloadable platforms, it's Terri. Brinston
Yes.
is Brinston. So I want to make sure I'm speaking to all of you all in the studio audience, no matter how you're obtaining this broadcast. But we're very glad to have each of you all here today. And Terri, I know that part of your mission has been kicked into My School Nurse consulting services. This
Yes.
is this is a part of your purpose, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. as you talked about, I've been working in education for over 25 years. I actually, I'm a registered nurse. And so I had an opportunity to work in a school system, not as a school nurse, but as an educator. I introduced the
Interesting.
medical field to students. So I
Okay.
teach them, a nursing assistant, EKG, phlebotomy, different things like that, medical terminology. And so over the years, with me being it, because I love nursing, I love bedside nursing, and I was a pediatric nurse, a floor nurse for many years.
I could see that for
And
sure.
love working with children. And so when this door became available, of course, I jumped at it. It was, I could be at home. I had small children. So it just really was a great opportunity for work-life balance. And as I was teaching at this particular school, they did not have a school nurse. And so one of the things that I found that anytime that something happened, they would call me,
Hmm. So they
I
were
was
utilizing some extra services.
absolutely. So they were double dipping.
Right, right. It's like, wait, we're not gonna pay for this, but
So,
we
but
have her here.
that's my passion. I didn't really see it that way. I just saw it as an opportunity to help young
Right.
people. But I was like, wait a minute, it's like,
Like, what's happening to me? Are you utilizing extra services?
right. So I found myself, working with their healthy living advisory committee and writing policies and helping them organize their safety and healthy living policies and teaching the staff on, how to deal with students when they have medical issues or,
Awesome.
different things like that. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, you don't have a school nurse, but we need nursing services. And I really started to do some investigation and connect to the world of school nursing
Okay.
and recognizing that there's so many things that schools are required to do. They're required to provide nursing services, but a lot of
Interesting.
times they don't have the right knowledge or the resources to be able to hire a school nurse. But but most schools in most states allow them to delegate nursing services to their staff as long as they are knowledgeable of how to carry them out. So anyway, I started to kind of say, okay, well, if my school that I was currently working at could utilize my services, I wonder what other schools who cannot afford to have a full-time nurse, but they need to make sure that there's an environment for a safe environment for the students, if I can come in and provide some consulting. And so that's what I
That's
started
good.
doing.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful. So really, believe it or not, then your school, even though they were utilizing your services that you weren't necessarily hired to be there for, it gave you a good blueprint of how to become a consultant for other schools to be
Absolutely.
able to. So it actually worked out for your good,
It
right?
worked. That's where I, get to my journey. Lord allowed me to experience certain things because He had an assignment for me.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that really became present to me as I was going through my journey as healing from COVID, is recognizing it's like, I need to really embrace this concept that He has given me and really walk it out, because there's so many schools and so many parents don't really realize
Mhm.
that 75% of our schools don't have school nurses. And so when you're sending your child to school and he has asthma or diabetes or he's taking medication or he needs some type of help or she needs some kind of help, you know, who's there to provide that support? The wonderful staff at the school, but that's definitely not what they went to
That's
educate.
not their profession. They're there, maybe some of them to do guidance counseling, to
Yeah.
do front office, to do the principal job, but doesn't mean that you're the person that would start administering medication, you
Yeah.
know?
Or in an emergency.
Right.
Real story. I was talking with one of my colleagues, and she was working in a school system, and she said that one of the young scholars had a diabetic, went into a diabetic coma.
Oh, okay.
And so, she said that, everybody was rushing to help her. And one person, this is an administrator, literally set this person up and was pouring Coke in her mouth because you recognize that when somebody is diabetic, they need sugar. So he was like,
Right,
okay,
right.
let me give her sugar. And it's like, no, you can't do that. And so, of course, audience, that is something that you do not do when someone is unconscious. You can't pour liquid in their mouth
They
because
could
they
be
have
choking and die.
a whole nother issue.
Right.
And so now, in his defense, he was trying to help.
Of course,
You know,
right. I mean, the intention is
not
good.
his intention was good, but his method was totally wrong. And that's
Mhm.
something that, I mean, that just makes me, just gives me shivers every time I think about it, because we have so many people in our schools that have great intentions, but if they don't have the knowledge to really support our children, it can be very deadly. And so
That's good.
that's one of the things
Mhm.
that, by me coming in, and I have nurses that work with me, respiratory therapists, I have occupational therapists, I have access to counselors. We go in and we make sure that the staff is aware of what to do, when to do it, how to do it, when to call for help, getting their policies and procedures in place. It amazes me how many teachers, I did sort of like a survey of different schools in my
Mhm.
area,
Mhm.
don't have first aid or CPR certification.
Mm. That is
And
scary, actually, from my perspective as a parent. I have 3 children that deal with and kick cystic fibrosis totally in the head, but
Mhm,
when they have been in the school system, you wanna know that the person knows how to handle what they're dealing with, and I know at my daughter's school
mhm,
that the nurse, they do have a nurse on staff,
mhm.
and she knows what she's doing with being able to help my daughter in her time of need.
And that is a blessing. But when you think about, and I kudos to school nurses, don't get me
Right.
wrong.
Oh,
I
yeah, we love all school
am an
nurses.
advocate
We
for
love everybody that's stepping in to assist where you don't have a school nurse. So
absolutely.
thank you for even attempting to
Oh,
try to help.
absolutely. And you would be amazed of the heroism that we see in our school system. Teachers are amazing. People who go into education, they are special people. But when
Yes.
you think about, there's, certain school systems, you have like one nurse to what, over the school that I'm currently in, we have like 6,000 students. And
Right.
so we actually have three different buildings, but we have three nurses. But you got three nurses to 6,000 students. If you really think about that ratio, how effective is three nurses to 6,000 students? You have to equip the staff in basic first aid. You have to. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the things I love, the fact that, schools now are seeing the importance of bringing on a school nurse. And hooray, you need to. But there also should be major training going on for the staff, what to do so that they feel comfortable if there's an incident and you can't really have to, you don't have time to go get the school nurse.
Well,
So
this
how
is
do you
good.
maintain that? So we provide first aid, CPR. We make sure that the school has policies and procedures so that they can, be
Yeah.
safe and they can operate safely in their environment.
Yeah, some of the studio audience comments are coming in, and Mackenzie said 6,000 students. That's a college. Yeah, that is a whole college. That's the
Yeah,
college
it,
level attendees, that's for sure. And I
yeah.
saw a comment from my mom who came in, and she said that good morning and to me, hey mommy, and the wonderful school nurse to Terry. I'm watching this great show this morning. Thank you so much, mom, because it's not a given that you have to support your daughter's show, but I am
Oh,
super grateful. I'm
I love
so
it.
grateful that my mom takes the time to tune in. And so thank you for being one of my faithful supporters. And
Right.
I appreciate that. Listen, we're talking with Terri Brinston today, and we're talking about the importance of school safety with our students. And one of the philosophies that you shared is that when a child struggles, everyone struggles. I read that in one of the notes that I was preparing for today. And
Mhm.
so I wanted you to talk about that a little bit more, but right when we come back after our next commercial break, check the propagate chat. Oh, the private. Okay. All right. So right after this commercial break, we'll be right back to talk more with Terri Brinston.
I have peace of mind with Silver Shield Security, which has been protecting my family and home, along with servicing the Carolinas for over a decade. Silver Shield Security knows the importance of convenience and safety. Whether you live in an apartment, a home, or run a business, they are here to protect you from unwanted intrusions and fires. Call now at 704-440-4688 or visit the website at www.silvershield-security.com. You can use my promo code #ToneX and get 1/2 off your installation price. Don't forget to ask about the new no money down options. Let Silver Shield Security help to give you peace of mind, just like me and my family, and keep your business safe.
All right, everybody, we're back and we're talking with Terri Brinston today, and she's going to shed so much more light on how we can keep our students safe through a program that she's implemented. And this is, just let me know, is this nationwide or is this specific to Michigan or what?
This is nationwide. I can go into schools based on their state and requirements and help them as well, for sure.
So I see another comment came in from Trenton. He says, as a man who graduated from high school with 28 people, that's
Oh,
really,
wow.
wow. That's unfathomable to think of a school that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It's amazing. I'm amazed every day. Well, for the opportunity to be in a facility that's ran like a, oh my gosh, it's just it's amazing. It's 3 buildings. The students kind of go from building to building for their different classes. It is in Michigan, and so yeah, it's a well-oiled machine. The administrators at this facility is just amazing how they do it. But I'm very blessed to be able to have so many students to take
Wow.
my program for sure.
Now let's talk also about that philosophy that when a child struggles or when our children struggle,
Mhm.
everyone struggles. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think of students as our future, and I'm sure we all, say our children are our future.
Yeah.
And we say that and it's kind of rolls off our tongue, but when we really think about that, if we really believe it, then we definitely want to equip them to be able to walk out a very bright future for themselves. So for example, if we can teach them, also, we have to teach them book knowledge. The academics is very important, the math, arithmetic, and science, and being able to navigate college and things like that. But we also have to teach them practical things, how to deal with stress, how to deal with their personal health. For example, when a child has a history, their family history of diabetes, you don't start talking to them about diabetes when they start getting signs of it.
Right.
Educating them on it now so that they know that these are the things that you can do to prevent it. Especially high blood pressure, or how to deal with mental health, how to deal with managing their emotions, how to deal with their spirituality. And so I truly believe through the My School Nurse, we also provide, we educate specifically the teachers and the staff. But I also have a nonprofit, which is called the Nurturing Wellness Group Foundation, where we
Yeah.
deal specifically with the student. And so that's making sure that the student is aware of, how do I deal with adulting? How do
Yeah.
I figure out exactly what I want to do out of life? Do I just take the opinion of my family? My mom always wanted me to be this or that. Or do
Right.
I look internally and say, well, what is my purpose? And so that's one of the things that we do. We deal through the Nurturing Wellness Group, which is a nonprofit that I run through my for-profit, which is My School Nurse.
That's really good. And people can learn more about your nonprofit as well by
Yeah,
going and learning more at Hello, by reaching out to you at hello@terribrinston.com, correct?
absolutely. So if you
Okay.
can reach out that way, that would be perfect.
You'll be able to learn about the school nurse program as well as the nonprofit arm that she's working directly nationwide with children, regardless of whether they're in a specific area or not. She can tap into helping them and provide some resources. Now,
Absolutely.
you said that you struggled as a student yourself, is what I've heard, right?
I did. I had a learning disability. I couldn't read. I struggled with reading all the way. I was identified as a special ed student in elementary. And so all through middle school and high school, I struggled severely with reading. And just really with the fact that I learned differently, and that's the way that I've embraced it, that I learned differently. Back then, I embraced it as I was dumb, I was ugly, and that I would never amount to anything. And so
Are
that
these things you told yourself or other people told you?
these were the things that I embraced for myself. That was the
Oh.
story that I wrote for myself, that,
Oh.
this was I was doomed because I was different, and that I was not capable. And so just really lived there for the majority of my childhood life. Um,
Mm.
and I'm sure a lot of people, we recreate stories for ourselves. And of course,
Right.
along with the stories came the baggage, low self-esteem, very shy, very withdrawn. And
Mm.
so, I look at myself, and that's part of that journey thing too. It's like, wow,
Right.
why did I go through that? Why did, God allow me to go through that part in my life where, I look back at my young self and I'm like, I can't even imagine that was me, because I'm totally opposite of that, now. But definitely, I feel that that was just a part of my journey, so that it brought me to where I am today, for sure.
Well, when you're talking, it's so many thoughts that are coming running through my head. One
Mhm,
of the thoughts that came up is that when I look at teenagers today, and I recently chaperoned a field trip, and it's not just that particular instance. I had a beautiful time. The students were great, the staff was great, the trip was amazing.
mhm,
So my comment that I'm making isn't pertaining to that specifically, but to observe teenagers overall that are in the school systems, I see so many different scenarios. I see some that are very withdrawn
mhm.
and want to be to themselves by choice. And I don't know if it's because they're writing the story in their own head that this is
Mhm.
what I believe is what would make my life safe and better.
Right.
And then I see some that are very outgoing, and it's like, "Hey, everybody, come on! Come one, come all." And that's more like I was. I was like, "Hey, everybody, I love everybody. How you doing?" Blah, 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 blah. Everybody didn't like that, so because it was like that's too overbearing for some people, even though it was very normal to me to be bossy and be a leader and most spirited and all of this. 'Cause I was a cheerleader and president of class. I was telling everybody, what are you coming to me? Are you? I mean, I was doing whatever I thought was my story.
Right.
But I wonder, how do you advise people from your perspective,
Mhm,
parents and even students that may get hold to this, as my grandma say,
mhm.
how do you advise people to get through some of these different phases that they're going through that could end up having their story be similar to yours?
Right. I think, well, one of the things as a parent, I'm very conscious. I have two wonderful boys, young men. Um,
Yeah, because you're somebody grandma now, by the way.
I'm a grandmama. Yeah, my first grandchild, so I'm in love. Um, so one of the things, I would say is just love your children, and let them know what you see in them. Part of me coming out of my pit, lack of a better term, was my dad told me that, he expressed to me that I should be a nurse. So my dad was, sick. He had cancer,
Okay.
and he came home. He was on hospice, and my mom and my sisters and brothers and I were able to support him during his last, stage of life.
Yeah.
And so, one day I was providing care for him, and he said, "You should be a nurse." And I looked at him and I'm thinking, okay, surely he's delusional. It's his medications got him down.
Right,
And
right.
I'm thinking,
And
no,
how old were you? How old were you at this time?
I was 19.
Okay, okay, go ahead. I just wanted to get a visual of your age kind of. Go ahead.
So with this, looking at my mindset at that point, I was stupid. I was kind of hiding my secret of not being able to read, or, really struggling with that. But anyway, he said, "You should be a nurse." And I'm thinking, clearly, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm Terry, the dumb one. So I'm thinking,
Aw.
he's talking about my sister. And so I said, "Dad, it's me, Terry," and he said, "I know who I'm talking to." And I go, wait a minute, I could be a nurse, and that was the very first time that I recognized that I could be more than what I was. And
Oh,
then I started to really think about, well, what is a nurse? And then to me, there was a nurse who lived, an African American nurse who lived behind me, behind our house, right in our backyard. Well, the house on the next street. And I just remember thinking, oh, she was just so pretty and
oh,
she was just so smart. And that was my 19-year-old view of a nurse. She's respected, she's beautiful, she's outspoken. She was just, when she walked in the room, I was like, oh my gosh, she's a nurse, and that's I just had so
oh,
much reverence for her. And when my
right.
dad said, you can be a nurse, I'm thinking, wait a minute, that is so far away from who I am. And so, but it was at that point that I embraced that I could be something more than what I was.
And then the funny thing is you are that and more. Like
Amen.
when I met you, I didn't even know. I didn't know none of this. I knew none of your story. And exactly what you just described in that nurse is who you are when
Amen.
other people encounter you.
And that was my prayer at that point. And Lord just gave me courage to tell my story, to ask for help, to be vulnerable and to let my secret out. I think the first time I told my secret was in church. I did a testimony and talked about how, I struggled with reading. And it was just it was at that point where I recognized that, you know what, it's okay for me to have struggled. And this was an opportunity for me to ask for help and for me to become a nurse. And that's when my mind actually had to change.
Wow.
I had to stop my self-limiting beliefs. I had to stop thinking of myself than less than because my dad said I could be a nurse.
Your daddy told you you could be a
It,
nurse.
I could be a nurse. So the advice I would give to the parents is let your children know what you see. You think that they know, but they really don't.
Somebody type that. Let your children know what
Mhm.
you see as a parent because
Amen.
they can't read your minds, so they don't know what you see and
Yeah.
what you think about them and how you believe in them. Wow. Okay. Great
Yes.
tip.
So amen. I always say that, my dad was losing his life, but I was really being reborn at that point. You know,
Oh,
I really do believe that. And,
you cannot tear, you can't break a talk show host down at this level, Terry. I'm
amen.
supposed to be saying this stuff, and you might be emotional, but I need to stay in control.
Amen. Amen.
Oh,
I
that's such a heartwarming story that your dad, in the midst of transitioning from this earth,
yeah.
he gave you new life,
Yeah.
new vision.
The best gift.
Mm.
And the only thing that really just breaks my heart is that he never seen me like this. You know?
Oh, 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 I beg to differ.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
Yeah.
He is celebrating you from heaven, and he is one of your cloud of witnesses, always cheering you on.
Amen.
Always cheering you on. He probably cheering louder than anybody else that you
Amen.
could ever, your husband, your sons, your grandchild, all of them, I'm sure, are celebrating you as we all are today as well, and the gift that God gave you. But your daddy, he
Mhm.
is, if it was an audible sound, it would be just cracking the sky open from
Yeah.
my perspective. This is Kim's perspective, y'all. Okay.
Mhm. Well,
This is not reflective of the show, and you don't have to put that up, Mackenzie, but the Mackenzie's working with me backstage. But the views expressed are my personal views. Kim
yeah.
says.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. How do you transition from that? Wow.
You know,
So,
one one of the things that, after my dad died, I just want to mention this is, my mother has always been my cheerleader. She was the one who was home, every time I came home crying and things like that from feeling like I was being bullied and stuff like that. But you had made the comment about what do parents do? It's like you just love on them, just love your children. And I think we in our busyness, we would forget to do that. You know what I'm saying? We forget to do that. We forget to love on them. And I think as an educator as well, I have an opportunity to love on the children that are in my classroom, that I have an opportunity to serve with my nonprofit. And
That's good.
they just love that. They just need that love. You know what I'm saying? They just need that love. And, I think,
Love on your children. Let them know what you see
mhm,
in them. These are all great tips. If you're on this show, we're talking about how we bring balance to the world, basically. And so at the end of the day, Terri Brinston is here sharing with us some tips on how we can have better relationships with our children
mhm,
and how, as a school system, we can have better success with our students by making sure that their health and their well being are considered in the whole process from a nursing perspective.
mhm.
So when we come back, Terri, what is the direction you want to go in for us to further learn some more about what it is that you bring to the world, the value that you bring, and in some takeaways for our studio audience members?
Oh, I just want a student centered. I believe that
I love
we we just need to be student centered, and what that looks like, I think we'll talk about a little bit more. How
Yes.
our school and parents and our society be a little bit more student centered.
So we're going to talk about how to be more student centered, and then we're also going to break down the four-step approach that you specifically use. And I loved. I want to go back and because now my eyes all blurred messing with you, Terri. You done told me down. Let me see. You talked about in your approach. Yeah, I wanted to go back to this one piece here. The needs assessment, the district care plan, the formation, and a coordinated school health team and an evaluation. So I know that's more than four that I said. So the needs assessment, district care plan, formation of a coordinated school health team, and then an evaluation process. So I'll say each one and kind of go through and talk to me about those. All right.
Already.
So when we come back after this next commercial break, which is going to be confidence tones, we'll be right back and talk more with Terri Brinston.
Welcome to Confidence Tones, where we use a proprietary audio development formula called audio immersion to provide an experience that's designed to help quickly and effortlessly generate positive change in the subconscious mind when used correctly. This experience is achieved using four primary building blocks: brainwave modulation, invocation of positive emotions, immersive imagination stimuli, and developmental suggestion. We know of no other source in the world that provides the synergistic combination. With a good pair of headphones, you'll be able to immerse yourself into audio that's designed specifically to help you feel better, do better, and live better.
We're back and we're talking with Terri Brinston. Yes, I've already been crying during this episode because she shared some of her story and how her dad on his deathbed literally gave her new life. And so if you're just joining, make sure you go back and watch the whole episode because it's been nothing short of amazing and inspiring as we're learning from Terri Brinston. And her program that she is talking about is My School Nurse Consulting Services, your health consulting team. So talk to us about the children. You were going to talk to us specifically before we came on break.
Yeah, I wanted to. This is actually stems from what we do with at the Nurturing Wellness Group Foundation. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is what we do through My School Nurse, MSN Consulting Services. I'm all over the place
The
right now.
Nurturing Wellness Group, is that what you said?
The Nurturing Wellness Group Foundation is my nonprofit.
That's the nonprofit organization where she works directly with children.
Right.
So go ahead.
Work with directly with the youth, but my school nurse, MSN Consulting Services, we take a student-centered approach. I know that our schools, they do some amazing things, right? Especially the school district that I work with and the ones that are in my community that I've had an opportunity to work with, getting them ready for their life, vocational programs, making sure that they, have their English and math and social studies and all of that stuff. But my school nurse helps them to really evaluate that area that that we're not seeing in our community as much. So for example, you're seeing our parents are working, they're busy. We're trying to keep our kids busy, soccer and basketball and trying to keep them balanced. But a lot of times we think as our communities, we think that our schools are capable of picking up that slack, as far as making sure that, when something is going on with our child, we assume that our schools know what's going on,
Right.
If for example, when kids have certain type of behavior issues in the classroom, sometimes those are signs that there's more than this situation that's going on.
It needs to be investigated further, and that needs to come from the parent and the school possibly collaborating.
Hopefully, that's the idea situation. But a
Right.
lot of times, I think parents sometimes believe that, our educators know a lot more than they do, or they have the capacity to to interject when they really can't.
Right.
What I mean by that is, I have an average of 60 students throughout a day, every
Right. Now
day.
remember, everybody, 6,000 students are at their school that she's talking about. So you
Well,
have, as a nurse, an average of 60 students?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's about 20 students a class,
Okay.
okay, which is an average. So you have a teacher has about 20 students in their classroom throughout the day. We don't really have the capacity or the time to really focus on everything that's going on with a kid, with our
Okay.
young people. And although we do see some warning signs, we
Okay.
do see, a lot of things because we're with your child, you know, all through the week for at least an hour. I have my kids for 2 hours.
Okay.
But so when something is going on with your child, we hopefully can, as teachers, can let the parents know or let their counselor know that we see these things. But sometimes teachers don't have time, or they don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the experience to be able to recognize that this is a red flag.
Or they may be having their own red flags that they're
Oh,
dealing with too, because they're
absolutely.
still human beings that
They're human
also
beings.
possibly have their own children that they may be getting calls about their own children that's at another school. I'm just making
Absolutely.
up scenarios
Oh
here.
no, that is a true scenario.
Okay.
Life is
So
happening.
I have 5 children, right? And so
Right.
if I'm teaching your child and I'm working to help your child become the best version
Mhm.
of themselves, I also need the parent to be involved so that
Right.
we can do this as a partnership, because I still have to manage my own children too, or my
Yeah,
own household issues, or my own things that are happening in life's journey.
absolutely.
Oh,
And so with that, my point of saying that is we need grace on both ends.
I love that.
Parents, we need to be able to communicate with you and you be able to receive what we're saying.
Yes.
And teachers, we need to be able to, give our parents grace and recognize that they're doing 50 million things and life is happening. And it has to be a way where we meet in the middle and really be, just give each other grace. Because it's not easy. Like you said, I'm on both ends as a parent and also as a teacher. And so when my when I call the parents and I let them know that something is going on, I'm not the enemy.
Right. You're actually the partner. I'm here. I'm
I'm the
I'm as if I'm one of your family members. To
right.
tell you this is going on with your child. I love how you're saying give grace. So somebody in the studio audience, make sure you type that comment so it's later noted for those that tune back in. Give grace as a parent and
Yeah.
give grace as a teacher to each
Yes.
other. And
Yes.
then hopefully it'll be some nice synergy that happens there.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love that.
And
Now you
let's just,
said, go ahead.
yeah. I was just going to say, let's just be student centered,
Student.
everybody, if everybody's best interest, we're doing what's right for the child. Everybody has a good intention. And if that's where we can meet, then we can communicate.
Okay, I'm typing this. So be student centered in our approach as
Mhm.
parents and as teachers. This is
Amen.
good. So y'all make sure that you take these as some important takeaways from Terri Brinston and what she's sharing with us today. Be student centered. I'm going to pop that up there. Be student centered in our approach as parents and as teachers. And this is a huge takeaway from Terri Brinston with her nursing approach to being student centered. Now, you say that there are 4 different steps that you implement when you're dealing with schools. One is, let's go
Well,
here because I want
first one is needs assessment.
the needs assessment. How does that work for you from your program?
Well, as a, I'm coming in not trying to um, teach teachers how to teach,
Okay. I love it. So you're coming in just assessing. All I'm doing is just here
Yeah.
to assess. Let me give you a simple example for me. I used to be sent out when I was with NBC. They
Okay.
would send me out and send me to do extreme balance makeovers for families. And the
Okay.
first day I would just go out, Coca-Cola would sponsor it and everything. This is through one of my local affiliates that I worked with them
Uh-huh.
as their balance expert. So one of the things that would happen is the first day I just would assess the situation, kind of like the super nanny. And
Right.
I tried my best not to be judgmental, but I was like, this is not, this is the problem. But all I was there to do was take
Right.
notes, not judge, keep like, okay, I have a lot of feedback for you. Is
Right.
that what you're saying you do?
Yeah. Well, people become very sensitive, when you're evaluating what they're doing. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So you just want to be, so my approach is the kid. We're student centered. We're trying to help the kid, and everybody's on the same page. And we're not really judging. We're just saying, okay, what's going on? And so I'm very, very conscious of that. And so when I to do a needs assessment, I'm basically asking questions. What's going on, and I keep it very, very focused on health and wellness. What's going on with your teachers? How often are they being trained in first aid? How comfortable are you with calling 911? What do you do? What is your understanding of what happens when you call 911? Basically, what type of policies do you have in place
Okay.
to address health and wellness? Do you have a healthy living advisory committee or a committee of people who you go to ask those hard questions about different situations that occur in your school system? And so I do a very extensive evaluation based on interviewing the administrators, interviewing a couple of teachers to really find out, okay, how do literally staying focused on safety, health, and wellness. Because if you do your lane, I do my lane, and we really just focus on that.
I love
Um,
it.
and so that's part of that needs assessment. So I go
So
into
then that diffuses the situation right from the beginning because you're like, we're all here for the student. So
yes,
we're all here for the student-centered approach. And that's one of the things that I think is making your services unique based on
right.
everything that you're saying throughout this hour-long discussion.
Mhm.
Because I went back to think, what makes your services unique? And what I'm thinking is that a student-centered approach, that's the
Absolutely.
biggest unique thing. Is there
Yeah.
something else that makes it unique from your perspective before we go to step 2?
Well, also focusing specifically on safety, health, and wellness.
Okay.
I'm not, veering off into other lanes. I'm not trying to
Okay.
be an administrator. Safety, health, and wellness is my focus. Mhm.
Okay. That's very unique and very niched or niched down, or I don't know what the right word is. Niche. You can call it niche. It's like saying Bologna or baloney. People be like, Kim, you said that wrong. Girl, don't be calling me about saying it. I don't know. I'm back from Newport News, Virginia, down at the bottom is where I used to live, okay, from the project. So filet was fillet. Back, okay, whatever. I learned it correctly as I grew up, but don't judge me, okay?
No judgment.
Don't judge me. I needed some student-centered approach from where I grew up back in the day. Okay, so step number 2 you said was a district plan. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so of course, once you do an assessment, what do you do with the information? A lot of times we do an assessment and we're like, okay, we did that, So it's like, okay, well, now how do we fix it? And so I help them to kind of really look at the big picture.
Okay.
Best case scenario, this is what we need to work on. And then once we identify these are some major areas that we need to change, and then we put sort of a process in place to kind of say, okay, we'll do this first, we'll do this second. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I have all these things wrong and we got to fix it tomorrow.
I
No,
love
you have to consider your budget. You have to consider what are the most important things for us to tackle right now that is going to impact our students' safety. And so I help them to really come up with a strategic plan. Is it a 2-year plan? Is it a 3-year plan? And it's very individualized based on that facility's needs and their
that
funding.
is so awesome, Terry. So it's almost like a business plan for schools, is what I'm
Right.
thinking.
As it pertains to safety, health, and wellness. Yeah.
And you're helping them develop this plan based on the assessment that you already did in their schools.
Absolutely. And then
Oh,
what I find is, as I'm working with them, that we did the assessment, and then as we are, really working with them, we may find that there's some other things that we may need to deal with. And so we add that. So we're not ignoring the fact that there's other situations that we may discover. We're not so rigid that we have to say,
okay.
oh, wait a minute, we didn't discover that. We got to come
That can't be a part of the plan. Yes, it can be added because
right,
it's
we
a
can
new
add
plan.
on and
Excellent.
remove or make some adjustments as we're moving on. So very, very flexible.
I love this plan. And I think every school, this is something, I don't know if you go to Washington, D.C. or somewhere, but you should be striving to get this implemented, get some petitions signed. These are just things that's coming to my head. And in case we don't talk in detail beyond this show,
I
this is
need you on
some,
my team because that's what I'm, I can tell you so many horror stories, right? And we don't see or read about these horror stories often. We just see
the
the
ramifications.
yeah, we see the policies and the laws that come into place because of
Right.
it. Let me give you an example.
Please.
Um, I don't know if you know this, but in Michigan, I don't know about any other state specifically right now, but I know in Michigan, every school, they have to have a EpiPen. Okay, they have to have an EpiPen. That means that a doctor wrote a prescription to a school
Right.
district. Now, does that make any sense? A doctor wrote a prescription to a school district. Now, that means the state has released that doctor of all liability. Okay, so a doctor writes a prescription to a school district. Now, why did you think that came about? Right? Why is that a thing? Well, you have to think about it. Well, why did a doctor have to write a prescription to a school? Well,
Right.
because you had some kids who probably died of an anaphylaxis.
That's
And so
right.
with no EpiPen
Had to
available,
have, I mean, I'm assuming that
with
would
a,
only be the proper assumption
right.
if
But
you're writing a district
yeah,
EpiPen. I
and
don't know.
relieving a doctor from having liability. So when you think about things like that, some of the policies and requirements that are happening in our school, one has to think, well, what happened, that we don't hear about because of
Right.
maybe lawsuits or, being hushed or whatever. But there's definitely changes in policy that is happening to address these issues. So yeah, so we help them to create that plan, that care
That's
plan
good.
to address those issues that they may need to address in their school system.
Now you say formation of a school health team is the next thing.
Oh,
Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. It takes a village. I know that that's a old saying that we've been saying, but I truly
I
believe that
believe it too.
I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers, but there are some really smart people, right? And
Hmm.
so I help schools to really um, gather those passionate people who want to
Yeah.
support their students. So we want the principal involved. We want a community member involved. We want to get teachers involved in this. We want to get their local police department. We want to get people from their local hospital involved. And this is
Mm.
why I can go and provide this service in different states because I'm going to get them to a certain point, but then we need to be very specific for the
Right.
needs of that particular community.
And
And
that
so
has to be customized to
has
that
to be
community.
customized to that community. And so I help them to get to that point where they have a team, and I help them to strategize and develop that team and help them to work on the things that are important, help them to be engaged and actually not just meeting on a regular basis, but let's just get some stuff done, you know,
Yes.
be
Yes.
busy and busy.
Let's get something accomplished versus just planning and planning and planning.
Absolutely. And so I help them to develop each school district that I work with. After I get them to a certain point, I help them to create that collaborative
I love that. That's the
community.
evaluation plan.
Well, the evaluation is next.
Okay, okay, okay. So the evaluation is the final step. So what does that look like in a nutshell?
So what I do is I kind of go back to that original needs assessment and we just see, okay, what have we done? What things have we changed? Have we really made an impact in the plan that we put together? So of course, I'm a big believer on, hey, you were diagnosed with this. This is the treatment. Is it working? you know?
Right.
And so I do the same thing with our schools that we work with. We see, okay, what have we done and did it really make an impact? And do we need to make some tweaks? Do we need to bring some more people into this partnership and just to make, and then we go back to the drawing board.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that is as all inclusive as you can make it. Terri Brinston and her program again is called My School Nurse Consulting Services. She also has a nonprofit arm, the Nurturing Wellness Group Foundation. And so for people to stay connected with her, we're going to say that at the very end again. And we're almost to the tail end only because we kind of started a few minutes behind with some technical stuff. So I'm going to give the full hour here. And I want to take a quick moment to introduce, speaking of children, these two individuals. I have 5 children, but they have chosen to sponsor the Kim Jacobs Show. So here's one of my sons right now. I'll pop him in.
You're having a great day. I'm a digital marketing specialist, a web designer, and also a web developer. Odds are you're a business owner watching this video. If so, you may be struggling with digital marketing and or building the right website for your business. But that's where I come in, to help you build a website that you're proud of and also hit your target audience. So let me help you build the better business you deserve. For examples of websites that I've worked on, check out my website, jeremiahjjacobs.com. That website in itself is also an example because I built it, and it's an example of a one-pager. To get more information on the plans that I offer, contact me at info@jeremiahjjacobs.com. I repeat, info@jeremiahjjacobs.com. That is my email, not a website. So hopefully you guys have a great day, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
All right, that's one. And then our final episode sponsor is from my other son who lost over 100 pounds. He has been fighting cystic fibrosis and wants to inspire other people on his journey for weight loss. He actually did it with no surgery, and he's able to take 5 new clients. So here's Ivan Jacobs.
You can't seem to lower that scale number, and you just need help to make that transformation. My name is Ivan Jacobs from Major PT, and allow me to be of service to you as your private personal trainer. In my personal case, I've lost over 100 pounds and I've kept it off. I have made a total transformation, and now we help other people make transformations just like that. What we offer is mobile personal training where we drive out to your location or we meet up at a location to exercise together, as well as nutrition coaching and habit coaching. We guarantee results or your money back. We understand how important it is and how difficult it can be trying to navigate nutrition and fitness alone. So work with us to make your transformation possible. Our slogan is train you once and train you forever. We don't hope to keep you as clients forever. We hope to inform you so that you know what to do in your own day-to-day life. The workout program is custom tailored to you based off of gym frequency, assessments, and personal preference. We focus on progressively overloading in a safe and proper manner. We can meet up at the gym or your own home. I understand the importance of convenience and will work with what you want. Through the use of applications, you will have access to see the entire program from your phone. You can contact me, track your weight, and add personal goals all within the app. We will help you develop and maintain healthy habits that support your fitness goals for the long term. Together, we can identify areas for positive change and develop strategies to help you stay on track. Nutrition is a crucial component of achieving any fitness goal. As a personal trainer, I understand its importance and how it can make or break your progress. That's why I offer personalized meal recommendations as part of my all-in-one monthly program. With the help of apps, you can access your meal plan and track your nutrition right from your phone, making it easy to stay on track and make progress towards your fitness goals. Let me take care of the nutrition aspect so you can focus on your workouts and achieving your goals. If you would like, I can even accompany you to the grocery store to help you shop for healthier choices or set up an Instacart delivery right to your front door. Click the link below so we can schedule a free consultation to discuss further. We're excited to work with you and see you later.
All right. All right. So that makes my heart glad to
I know.
makes my
What
heart-
a amazing example of being child-centered. They are so handsome. Oh my goodness. And they're doing their passion. I can tell that that's their
One is
passion.
graduated from high school now, just graduated. We have to do a big celebration, my 17-year-old. And then Ivan is a student at UNC Charlotte and doing his personal training and certified through NASM, National Association of Sports Medicine. So tell us, Terri, I really wanted to ask you this one more question because you probably have a great answer for it. And it's probably something that should be on CNN and around the world. But with all of the school shootings that are taking place, not that none of us could have stopped this necessarily. We don't know. I'm not judging one way or the other. All I know is that everybody needs our prayers throughout the world that are experiencing their children being taken off of this earth, adults being taken off of this earth, which leaves a lot of families grieving and mourning, all because of senseless crimes. Okay. What, from your perspective, would you say that could possibly get into some of the minds of the ways that people are thinking that attended schools? A lot of these people attended schools, and your philosophies have just been so drawing to me and revealing is what I'm thinking is the word I want to say. What would you say? Any thoughts on this? I know this isn't a question you thought I was going to ask, and I didn't even know I was going to ask it. But after hearing you, I felt like you might have a good solution.
First, I just want to recognize the many families that are being impacted by this. My heart is just breaking. Every time I turn the TV on and I hear about these horrible, horrific situations and these shootings. One of the things I have to, I don't know how long we have for this answer, but I have to kind of go back to several conversations that I've had with my colleagues and my teachers. And one of the things that we've always said is that, when we hear of students that we've had in the past and we hear of them being in the news,
right,
we always say, I remember that child. I remember his response. I remember how he was. I'm not shocked. And that's kind of, when you really think about it, with a teacher being in the classroom as much as we are, and that's one of the reasons why I identify, not specifically for this reason, Kim, But one of my issues, my programs that I have is called life support for students. And the reason why I developed it, it was because of me. So going through high school and going through school, I had this mask, I had these barriers, right, that prevented me from being successful. Mine was a learning disability, right? Other kids, they have different barriers. It can be mental health, it can be them dealing with their physical health, their emotional health, maybe incarcerated family members. But what I saw in this classroom is a child calling out for help.
Yeah.
It could be warning signs. We see them: low test scores, behavior issues, being withdrawn. Now, I'm not saying that this is the answer to this issue, but one of the things is I recognize, for example, I'll be very specific. I had this student who had straight A's, and then through her high school career, and she got in my class in the 11th grade, and she started getting D's and E's. She started getting D's and E's, came to class every day, but always had an attitude, always gave me lip. I recognized that as a barrier or something. It was a warning sign.
Right.
Had a conversation with her, and she just bust out in tears. What's going on? I lost my support. This is what she said to me. I lost my support. What happened? Her grandfather died when she was, the previous year, her grandfather died. So she had nobody to talk to.
Right.
She was just spiraling out of control and not doing well in school, right? So I was able to get her some counseling. In the process of her getting some counseling, you could see a change in her grades, you can change in her attitudes.
Because she had that support.
She had that support. So many of our children are struggling with something that we as adults in our school system, we see the warning signs.
Yeah.
The issue is getting the warning signs and then getting them the proper help. Now, is that going to solve the problem 100%? No, but it definitely will. It's an approach that will address it.
Yeah.
As teachers, as educators, and this is why I do what I do, we have to recognize that there are very specific warning signs that we are ignoring and not getting our children to the proper support that they need. And why is that? Because of budget, because of our society. There's a whole lot of not pushing blame on anyone, but recognizing that sometimes as an educator, we see those signs. We have to be equipped to be able to know, what do we do when we see them.
That is
As
so
parents, we see those signs. We have to know what to do when we see them, and so just being aware of the resources that are in your community, being aware of what are the warning signs when your child starts to change and they start to respond in a different way. When your child something ain't right.
right.
But we can't just sit there and not
Ignore it.
ignore. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore it anymore because we see what happens.
The outcomes of some of this is ridiculous.
Outcomes are ridiculous. So
So,
my answer to that, my very long answer, is we have to pay attention, and we have to know there's so many resources out there now, because mental health has been a stigma, but people are more embracing it more. But we have to connect to these resources that are available in our communities and say something
yeah.
and do something before it's too late.
I'm so glad that you answered that question. And someone typed that there was a great question. Listen, I want you all to stay connected with Terri Brinston. You can do that at hello@terribrinston.com, and even reach out to her to find out about some of these resources that she's referencing. So if you don't know what the resources are in your local area, reach out to Terri Brinston, and she might be able to share some of those very valuable resources with you. Also, I would encourage you, if you would take a moment today to donate to the Kim Jacobs Show. Any amount that you donate is greatly appreciated. And I promise, I really want to make sure I honor my word and acknowledge just a few people that have taken some time to. Dr. Christine Kozachuk, thank you so much for sending in your donation. We definitely acknowledge it and see it. We see Samantha Benson. Thank you so much with Getinsured.solutions. Thank you. Positioned with a Purpose, thank you for contributing to the Kim Jacobs Show. And I see also Athena Robertson, thank you so much. Sandra Jackson, thank you so much. Betty Harris. I see all of you that are contributing here to the Kim Jacobs Show, and Elise, thank you so much. And if you contribute as well, I will definitely be shouting you out too. And so I'll just randomly shout out different people. Mr. Van, thank you so much for your contribution as well. All right, Ellis Bradley, my mom. Can you believe my mom? My mom donates to the Kim Jacobs Show, and she does that faithfully. So thank you so much, Mom. I appreciate it. And to all of our episode sponsors today, we would not have the show without our sponsors. Please make sure you check these sponsors out. Attorney Charles Everidge with Hunter Everidge Law Firm. And if you're dealing with disability or a workers' compensation claim or wrongful death of a loved one, make sure that you reach out to them, 704-251-2945, and let them know that the Kim Jacobs Show sent you their way. SilverShield-security.com and ConfidenceTones.com. Make sure you reach out to them. You can contact Dr. Joe D. Bear at 1-800-820-0584 and let her know that the Kim Jacobs Show sent you. That's today's episode, everybody. I know we went a little longer, and we did that on purpose, well, for a great reason with Terri Brinston. So thank you for being our special guest today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you in the studio audience. And yes, thank you in the studio audience. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for being a valued part of the show. Have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you and make it a great day.